Look, the 2026 Apple TV 4K delay isn't a supply chain accident. It's a software hostage situation. We were supposed to see this thing months ago, but Apple is sitting on the hardware because tvOS isn't ready for what they're trying to pull off. They're aiming for a March or April 2026 launch, specifically timed with the release of tvOS 26.4. Why? Because that's the version that finally brings the Apple Intelligence LLM-based Siri to the big screen. If you've used Siri on an Apple TV lately, you know it's basically a lobotomized version of the phone assistant, and even the phone assistant isn't exactly a genius. They need this hardware to launch alongside a Siri that can actually handle a prompt like, "Find me that sci-fi movie from the 90s where the guy travels back in time to save whales," without just showing you a YouTube search for whales. Let's talk about the Silicon Trinity, because this is where the hardware nerds should actually pay attention. The leaks, coming from backend code found by Mac rumors and echoed by the usual suspects like Gurman, point to the A17 Pro. Yes, the 3nm chip from the iPhone 15 Pro. This is a massive jump from the A15 Bionic in the 2022 model. But here's the thing. Putting an A17 Pro in a fanless or quiet fan box is a totally different beast than putting it in a phone. In an iPhone, that chip throttles after 10 minutes of heavy gaming because it has nowhere to dump the heat. In the 2026 Apple TV, you've got a constant power supply and a much larger thermal envelope. We're hearing rumors of a Game Mode Pro that shuts down background tasks to let the GPU run at peak clock speeds indefinitely. If that's true, Apple isn't just making a streaming box anymore. They're trying to build a Series S equivalent that people actually keep in their living rooms. But you can't run on-device AI or high-end games on the 4 GB of RAM found in the current model. That's why the 8 GB RAM leak is the most credible thing we've seen. It's the Apple Intelligence threshold. Apple decided 8 GB is the bare minimum for their AI models. So if this box is going to be the brain of the smart home, it needs that overhead. Otherwise, you're just buying a $150 paperweight that can't run the new liquid glass UI. And honestly, I'm skeptical about this UI overhaul. They're saying it's a fluid, depth-heavy interface that changes based on the weather or the time of day. Sounds cool in a marketing deck. But if it makes the interface feel laggy or floaty compared to the snappy tiles we have now, people are going to hate it. The next piece of the puzzle is the N1 networking chip. This is the custom Apple Silicon for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth that's expected to debut in the iPhone 17 line. Bringing Wi-Fi 7 to the Apple TV is long overdue, especially since the 6 GHz band is basically empty in most households right now. But the real insider angle here is the latency. Wi-Fi 7, combined with the N1 chip, isn't just about downloading a 40 GB movie faster. It's about AirPlay. We're looking at the possibility of a near-zero latency wireless display mode for Macs. If you've ever tried to use your Apple TV as a second monitor for a presentation or coding session, you know the lag is just enough to be annoying. The N1 chip is supposed to kill that. Plus, it solidifies the box as a Matter and Thread hub that won't drop your smart lights every time you microwave a burrito. I keep seeing these FaceTime camera leaks, and I'm calling BS on a built-in lens. It makes zero sense from a privacy or a cost perspective. Who want a permanent Apple-branded eye staring at their couch? Instead, look at the supply chain reports about the HomePad that separates 7-inch smart display Apple is working on for 2026. That device will have the camera. For the Apple TV 4K, they're going to double down on continuity camera. Why would they put a mediocre 1080p sensor in the box when you have a $1,000 iPhone in your pocket with the best cameras on the market? Expect them to launch a first-party MagSafe TV mount alongside this box instead. It's cheaper for them, better for your privacy, and keeps the price of the base unit down. Speaking of price, Apple is finally feeling the heat from the Google TV streamer and the Fire TV Cube. The rumor is a two-tier strategy. A base model around $99, the sweet spot Ming-Chi Kuo has been talking about for years, and a Pro model at $149 or $159. The $99 version likely gets a bin chip and lacks the Ethernet port, WHI. The Pro gets the full A17 Pro, the N1 chip, and maybe 128 gigabytes or 256 gigabytes of storage to handle those AAA game installs. It's a smart business move, but it's going to annoy the enthusiasts who feel like they're being upcharged for a port that should be standard in 2026. And for the home theater purists, AV1 hardware decoding is finally happening. If you don't know why that matters, YouTube and Netflix are moving to AV1 because it's more efficient and looks better at lower bit rates. The current Apple TV handles it via software, which is a battery and CPU hog. Having a dedicated decoder means your 4K streams will be smoother and hit peak quality faster. There's also talk of Dolby Vision 2 support, which gives more granular metadata control. Is it a game changer? No. Is it the kind of future-proofing you expect when you're paying 3 times what a Roku costs? Absolutely. The Siri remote is also getting a stealth update. We're looking at a U2 ultra-wideband chip inside. Finally, if you lose the remote in the couch, your iPhone will give you the same precision-finding arrows you get with an AirTag. It's a tiny feature, but honestly, it's the one thing that will actually make people upgrade their 2022 models. It's practical. It's not AI slop. It just solves a problem. So, here's the verdict. If you have a 2021 or 2022 Apple TV 4K, do not buy anything right now. The 2026 model is a platform shift, not a spec bump. We're moving from a streaming box to an AI hub/console hybrid. But if you don't care about gaming and you think AI is a gimmick, the current model is probably the last simple Apple TV we'll ever get. If you want the raw power and the fancy new Siri, wait for the spring 2026 event. I'll be keeping an eye on the tvOS 26.4 betas. That's where the real secrets are buried. Would you like me to break down how the rumored HomePad smart display fits into this new 2026 ecosystem?